Right, let's get straight into it. So I've got two ceilings to do today. So I've got this room to do. This little coving's got to come down. So I've got to rip all that down. And then I've got to fit this bigger coving like I've been in the other rooms. This 127mm stuff. So I did this ceiling out here and I did two rooms there with the doors shut. They've all been done. And then I've got this room to do. Same again, just skim it over, fit the coving. But the wallpaper is staying. They don't want the wallpaper touched, so got to be pretty careful around that, I think. Carpet's down as well, so get all that protected with this roll and stroll stuff, whatever. I tend to buy the one out of Tool Station because it's cheaper. It's half, well, I don't know about half the price, but it's a lot cheaper and you get double the roll. Because I know the real good stuff is the roll and stroll stuff, whatever it's called. But if you just take your time with it, you just get good results out of this, really. It's funny, I do see reviews on this and people say, oh, it doesn't go down the stairs, doesn't stick. Probably because they're just being divs, really, and ain't got the patience to put it on properly. Anyway, just covering up the wallpaper now with the tape and drape stuff. Don't want anything getting on this at all. Don't want any excuses to have a bit of argy-bargy at the end of the job. Scrape the artex down. All the usual stuff, really. Nothing exciting, nothing that you haven't seen before. Put my mask on, scrape the artex down, and then give it all 2 coats of PVA. Give it a good sweep up before the PVA goes on, because you don't want that dripping into all these little hundreds and thousands and bits and pieces of artex traipsing out about the house. So just taking off this now, and that was coming off not too bad. I wasn't sure what it was made of, but it was like a polymer again, that stuff. So it wasn't too bad. Come off fairly easy without too much damage, as you'll see me show my appreciation for now.
When you ask for new approaches, one big
Superb indeed, sir. Yeah, went round and got all this off. They'd pinned this on, so I was kept it in me little scrape with the pins, but yep, just made sure it didn't sort of tear the paint down lower than I was going to come. PVA, 2 coats of PVA from me, as always, and then buckets. I had to swap my bucket. My big blue tub had a bloody hole in it and all water started coming out everywhere. Lucky enough I had that, and then my mixer packed up, so lucky enough I had the cordless Makita mixer on. It was all going wrong. I was thinking, oh, these things running freeze, and I was thinking, oh god, now the artex is going to delaminate from the ceiling and all this plaster is going to come down. But it didn't. It was fair enough. It was all good. So first coat going on now, fairly heavy-ish, as heavy as I feel I could get it. And there's me Rafina spatula, and that's really good. That I really like this thing. It's just like a big trowel, really, but with a handle on it, it just makes it such a good sort of angle just to use. But anyway, I'll shut up. That's enough waffle from me at the minute. There's more waffle at the end, just talking you through the day and stuff, so you might want to stick around for that. And talking about my next job coming up, where I've had to order a load of silicone render. So anyway, I'll shut up. I'll just let you watch the rest of this.
Projecting our normative judgments about good and bad down into the genome. When it comes to the specific genes that we're looking at in relation to aggression and antisocial behavior, we also see that they're associated with positive risk-taking. We also see that the people who are most likely to be entrepreneurs by the time they're 30 or 35. So just lack of democratic participation and debate about how do we want to use this technology and how do we not want to use this technology.
Burns, and the executive producer was Ellie Bury. We'll be back on Thursday. See you then.
This is The Guardian.
Turns the water clear by putting in a load of chlorine, etc. And for a day at least, it's blue. And then 2 things happen, Chris. Number
So just a final polish to be done on this one here, and then that should all be good and ready. And then just same in here really, just keep travelling this up. That's just had its second coat, and a little bit under the stairs there I had to do about 1 metre square down there for the people. Let's keep cool with this method, always good. Oh yeah, baby. Look at that, it's all clean. I had a tidy up yesterday. I came out last night and had a tidy up because it was just cooler outside than in. It's not looked that good for a long while, believe me. Anyway, that's that day finished. I've got to go back there tomorrow and put the coving up. What is the time? It's 3:15. It's definitely cooler than yesterday. It's 34 degrees in his fan now. When I left my job yesterday it was 38. And I'll tell you what, just them few degrees lower, it does enable you to work a lot, you know, not easy, but it was harder yesterday rolling ceilings and painting walls than it was to plaster ceilings today. I found it a lot more comfortable today. Right, back indoors now, all showered, all fresh, thank God. There's a fly buzzing around in here. I don't want you picking him up on the microphone. You've got 2 windows open and a big sliding back door open, and the idiot still won't go away. Let's take you in the kitchen. As hot as it is, I just want a cup of tea if I'm honest. Let's stick you on there. Whew. Got to rip this kitchen out one day. It's only a little kitchen. It's another job for the future. That's them 2 ceilings done now. All I've got to do is fit the coving in them 2 rooms, and that's that job out of the way. And that's been one of them jobs. It's total, that'll be 5 days work, but it's been spread over 2 weeks, and you end up in your head feeling like you've been there forever. It's a very quiet house as well. The couple that live there, they just basically sit downstairs in silence. So every time I come in and out, it's like the silence is really noticeable. They don't have the radio on or the telly on or anything, and even when they speak to each other, they speak to each other very quietly. So you're totally aware that you're in their space. Not that they're making me feel uncomfortable, but I feel uncomfortable because I know that any noise I make encroaches on their peace and quiet. So yeah, it was hot today. It was obviously, it said 34 in my van, but I don't know about you. Sometimes when I'm plastering in this heat, as long as the sun isn't on me, sometimes I feel like it energises me and I can just steam into it. It doesn't really affect the speed of me at all. And the plaster, I don't think the plaster goes off quicker either in this heat. I think the moisture in the air seems to keep the plaster slimy for longer. If you're a plasterer, you know what I mean. It can be 30, like today, it could be 34, 35 degrees, but the plaster's still got like a little bit of a damp film on it because it's almost as if the plaster's sweating as well. So it does, unless the sun is coming in on the window and hitting it, as hot as it is, I don't think it sends the plaster off. I might be wrong, but I've always thought that when I'm plastering in this boiling hot weather. And like I say, something about this weather, as long as the sun isn't on me, it almost energises me and I can just keep going. Doesn't really affect me. But funny enough, yesterday doing that painting, it did affect me really. I mean, it was hot in there. But with painting, you're like, especially when you've got 2 or 3 colours on the go, you're constantly changing and your mind is probably doing more work than your body actually. You know, you're thinking, right, I've got to touch that a bit up and I've got to get that bit and I've got to touch that bit. So your mind is constantly, but when you're plastering, you're just in that room and that's your job, just that ceiling. And then obviously I had 2 ceilings today and that little bit downstairs under the bottom of the staircase there. You know, on another day, I probably would have chucked all that on in one hit, but I thought, what's the rush? I'm not in a rush today. So I just got the bigger room done first, got that to a stage where it just literally needed a final polish. So I left that, then I chucked the little room on and a bit downstairs. I think I got 2 coats on them. Then I went back into the other room, gave it the final polish, and then I just worked comfortably on them other 2 bits in. So tomorrow I shall go back in there and do the coving, which will probably just take just as long because it's quite fiddly, which reminds me I need to pick up some more cove adhesive. And that's Friday then, isn't it? So that's Friday, and I could possibly be working at the weekend. I've got this little silicone render job to do. I haven't got no pictures of it to show you, but it's quite a nice little number really. It's a lot of retaining walls. It's like a basement of a house, and you come out the basement and you've got the retaining walls sort of around you, and they're not even in a bad state really, but this is for letting agents. So I'm just really going to face it up with silicon render. Sounds like a bit of a bodge, but I'm not going to the extent of hacking it all off because it doesn't need it, but I've been told they want silicon render on it. So I'm not going to base coat over the top of really good painted render. So what I'm going to do, I might give it all a render grip paint. I might paint it all with that first, the red render grip. Then I might prime it with the silicon primer, and then this sprayer I've ordered, I'm just going to spray a silicon thin coat on top. So all I'm doing really is facing it off. There's one wall which needs a bit of attention, and I may base coat that wall, and that is the wall that's attached to the house. But the rest of the walls are literally just little retainers. So I'll show you that as and when. I might even pop in there tomorrow afternoon and just see exactly what I need, like material wise, because I think I need a few beads. But that'd be quite an interesting one to do, something a little bit different from me instead of just skimming and painting all the time. And if I'm honest, if I could just work outside and just do rendering all the time, I think that's what I would choose to do. But obviously in this country, you can't sort of earn a living just by working outside all the time. Not just me on my own. It's too weather dependent. You know, you're going to get caught out a lot. But if I could, I'd be outside every day. Now, when I measured up for this rendering job, the way I do it is I measure all the separate area walls. Like, for instance, one of the walls is 6x6, so 6 foot by 6 foot, or 6 foot wide by 6 foot high. So that's 36 square foot, and then so on and so on. So I had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 areas to measure. And then I totaled them all together, and it came to 251 square foot. So then convert that into meters, that's 76 meters squared. I work out I need 7 tubs of silicon render because it does about 9 to 10 square meters a tub. And that's hand applied, and obviously you put more on the hand applied. I don't know how much you get by spraying it on out of a hopper, and I'm really hoping this thing works. I mean, I'm taking a chance here. I could put it on by hand if I wanted to, but it's hard on the arms, you know. I'm starting to get a fair bit of pain in this elbow now and under here. It's like tennis elbow and some tendon thing going on. I'm still all right with plaster, but I know that silicon render will really do me in. So I'm hoping this hopper is pretty good, but I would imagine it must put a lot less on than hand applying it. So I think 7 tubs might be overkill, but if it is, it's just a white. I can do my garden walls again with it. I can go over the top of them, so it's not a problem. But that's how I generally do it. But I always doubt myself when I think 7 tubs, that's a lot of stuff you've ordered for that job, which is potentially, there's me saying it's not a big job. It's a fairly big size if I use all 7 tubs up. But what it isn't one great big wall. It's different walls. So none of them are really uncontrollable. So that's what that is. So now I've got the dilemma of I'll be at work tomorrow and this stuff's being delivered tomorrow, because as you know, if you use this stuff, you can't just go into a builder's merchants and buy it, or it's very rare you can. The only one I can get out of is a Hughes Grey, and they just sell the K-Rend, and they want about 90 or 100 quid a tub for the white. But with the EWI store, theirs was 64 quid a tub. Obviously, I think the VAT went on top of that. So it wasn't too bad. So I got 7 tubs of white silicon render and a big tub of the primer, because you've got to have the primer. I won't use it without the primer. So that's 8 tubs of stuff all delivered, and that came to just over 500 quid. I think if I'd have gone in my Hughes Grey and got that, I bet I would have been looking at over 700 quid in there for that. So what else have I got coming up? I've got some tiling to do in a cookery school. Woman's opening up a cookery school, and she's got this business unit, but we can't stick the tiles directly to the wall. So what I've got to do is I've got to run or fit some MDF along the wall first and then tile on top of that. So got that coming up. I've got a shop front to decorate, as well as all my other bits and pieces. So it really is non-stop at the minute. It really is velvet. It really is non-stop at the minute. And I can't see an end to it, but I need another holiday. That's what I feel. You never know. I might be lucky enough to squeeze another holiday in at the end of the year. Some bit of winter sun. So anyway, 34 degrees. I'm going to have a nice cup of tea to cool me down. Thanks for watching, and I'll hopefully see you tomorrow doing a bit of coving. So take care, everyone. Have a good one.